Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hill of Roses. We're here again to be able to celebrate our independent policy movement for progress to bring power to the people. We made a little bit of a change up in the schedule. Frankly, I needed a little bit of more time to be able to set up the episode around UBI and UFOs. And that's because, well, work got a little bit busy. And so what I wanted to do today, just because I wanted to make something, because we were off yesterday because we were being interviewed on Zach Satcher's program, the Liberal Conservative Report, is just, be able to give you a little bit of an update of what we're working on currently as a network here on the Hill of Roses. And, I gave a little bit of a preview of what we're really doing here on the network on, what was it, last Monday's video, where we were also doing our endorsements during it. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of an explanation of what we're working on currently, because we've now had one meeting in the books and we're about to have our second meeting tonight. So it's really exciting, the progress that we're making. Right now where we are with the Hill of Roses is we have 15 team members. And I started to allude on some of those team members during that original showcase on Monday. But, some more people have joined us since then. And I didn't really dive in deep of what each of these individuals are going to be doing for us. So I wanted to take a quick moment to lay out really who is on board right now and what they're going to be focusing on in their coverage for us at the Hill of Roses. So first, I'm going to cover the only person on the team right now who is not an explicit content producer. We have one person who's in a hybrid role, but this is the only one who's explicitly doing non-content production. This is going to be Jack Lynn. Jack Lynn is going to be our graphic designer, and I'm really looking forward to working with him on, updating the branding, being able to develop some pieces for some of the writers and content contributors, and really trying to make this a movement for us all that reflects all of us as a brand. I made this brand that you've seen on this channel for a while, but, it was just one man's idea working with some other artists. I would love to see how this further gets developed, and, whether or not we want to be sticking with the roses as a theme, whether we want to be showing the Democrats contrasting with that, we're going to be playing with some interesting ideas as, time goes along. The next is our other person who's doing graphic design, but they're also doing content production. His name's Will Pease. Will is, in his focus as a content production contributor, is going to be focused on technology as well as gun control and gun rights. I was really thrilled being able to talk with him and hearing some of his proposals of how those kind of interrelate. And, I think he has a very balanced approach when it comes to gun control, as you'll see for everyone we've put on, that subject, that it comes from a perspective of understanding common sense reforms are needed, knowing what is technically feasible and actually sellable as policies to the general public, and usually comes from people who have, some perspective of coming more from a right-leaning perspective and kind of drifting left over time. And so I'm really thrilled to be able to have him presenting on that, as well as some of the biggest technological challenges of our time. The next individual we have also covering gun control and gun rights is John Cady. He's going to be just a content producer. In addition to talking about gun control and gun rights, he's actually going to be looking at the combination of that with how it influences criminal justice reform as well. And, even larger, he wants to be able to focus on, drug decriminalization as a topic within criminal justice reform. So I'm really happy he's going to be on board as well. After that, we have Carlos Garces. Carlos is going to be a content producer focusing on the subjects of housing and immigration. He is an immigrant himself, having gone through that process. He has some familiarity with some of the challenges that come with it, as well as some of the misconceptions. And in his, full time, he works as a small housing developer. So, he has some perspective of, some of the innovations within the housing market and what it takes to make, dignified, affordable housing. So I look forward to being able to work with him on that as well. After Carlos, we have Sonali Kumar. Sonali is going to be focusing a lot more on our identity-based issues, mainly around, immigrant communities, but as well focusing on some women's issues as well. And the second topic kind of interrelates with that directly. She's also going to be covering immigration for us as well. And, as a second generation immigrant, I believe that she'll have a very firm grasp of understanding how that should work. So I look forward to seeing her coverage on those subjects as well. After that, we have Nelson Orta. Nelson's going to be focusing on some fiscal and monetary policy as well as housing policies. I look forward to seeing what he produces in that arena. We have Justin Lee. He's going to be managing our foreign policy and democracy reform subject areas. We have Evan Marquette. He's going to be doing economic inequality and empowerment as well as immigration. So I think that'll be interesting to see how we can actually, see the interrelation of how immigration actually is empowering us all as a nation, as well as some common sense reforms for both immigrant communities and us collectively to be helping in economic empowerment. After that, we have Dennis Woolsey. Oh, sorry, I was actually wrong there. So Nelson's covering. Okay, I skipped over one. Let's backtrack a bit. Take a pause. Edgar Cisneros is managing fiscal and monetary policy as well as housing. Nelson Orta is going to be managing foreign policy as well as democracy reform. Justin Lee is managing economic inequality and empowerment as well as immigration. And then you have Evan Marquette managing democracy reform as well as foreign policy. We have Dennis Woolsey managing education and foreign policy. We have Elena Torres Pepito managing identity-based issues as well as economic inequality and empowerment. We had Eric Martin managing sex work, sex education, and abortion, as well as criminal justice reform. I know specifically he really wants to focus on the idea of sex trafficking, so I look forward to seeing how he does that. We have Casey Mathur, who will be managing healthcare, foreign policy. We have Ben Fox, who will be managing our federal elections and appointments, as well as criminal justice reform. So, you should be expecting him to be covering a lot of our congressional races, as well as this ongoing presidential election in 2020. But after 2020, it'll be some more, thinking about who should be running, what we need people to be doing to be able to win these seats, talking more about the appointments. And hopefully it'll probably be more criminal justice related content as well. And then our final content contributor is Nemej Rasman. Nemej is actually our only individual not from America. He's from Latvia, and he's bounced around. He was originally, I think, American, but he's currently in Latvia. So I look forward to being able to get that perspective of someone not from America as well. We were trying to incorporate this as a more global movement in general. And when you're writing, it's a little bit easier to do that. But he's going to be covering fiscal and monetary policy, as well as media, arts, and intellectual property. So that's a little bit of a description of the team. We're growing all the time. We have some more interviews that are being scheduled. And I want to make sure that all of you know that you can still be joining this team. We're going to be an evolving enterprise over time. And so if you want to be able to do that, you should be able to find on our website, thehillofroses.com, a link to be able to sign up as a content contributor. So we hope that you'll do that. The second thing I wanted to update you all on is where we currently are in terms of, establishing an organization and what we truly stand for. And that's what we're really covering today in our meeting tonight at 8:30. We're covering, this overall organization document. And I'm going to, give a brief overview of that in a future video. But I just want to make it known, like, what our mission statement is here at the Hill of Roses. It is going to be about collaborating to increase the power of the people through news, analysis, advocacy, organizing, and tech development. We really see this growing first from a, media enterprise that's helping bring power to people through information, to actually taking direct actions to help promote our causes as an organization through organizing efforts by embracing what's known as an agile methodology. We're not going to try and eat the elephant whole through revolution. What we're going to be trying to do is every 2 weeks, we're going to be prioritizing what we think we can feasibly achieve to promote our cause moving forward, and, take this bite-sized approach at causing substantive change. Because we do believe that to be able to unlock a lot of these policies we want, we have to work methodically to achieve certain policies first to unlock more policies down the road. And that sometimes you have to work with what the current situation is, which is embracing a bit more of a moderate electorate than this gung-ho progressive electorate. And so we need to be a little bit more adaptable in our approach, and that it'll evolve over time into having more and more of these objectives accomplished. And then the final part is, being able to have some form of tech development whether that be applications or, websites just in general, to help make people feel that it's not so tough starting up in the political realm, that they know how to get involved properly. So I think that'll be a really great cause. And, some of our general values that we can touch on now, the specifics underneath them is what we'll be editing through these meetings. But we believe in humanity first values, which is just, denouncing hate-filled rhetoric. And, we condemn bigotry and racism in all forms. We are trying to be a secular, diverse, and mixed partisan organization. We're striving for humility and honesty in relaying facts. If we get something wrong, we're obligated to publicly correct ourselves. Our organization is only responsible to the public, and it's not going to be responsible to any private interests or owners. We're responsible to making sure that we're informing you of what is actually happening, as well as advocating for what our beliefs are. We're not trying to take into account the beliefs and value sets of who is financially contributing to the organization. Currently, we have nobody financially contributing. This is a complete volunteer effort. But we want to make sure, as this evolves over time, that we are solely reliant on you, the viewer, the reader, and no one else. We are trying to hold ourselves to a standard where we are not being corrupted. Our next is that we have, statements of opinion will be acknowledged that they are just an opinion of the individual, and that they're not going to be reflecting the opinion of the overall network. And likewise, any of the individuals that join our team must also publicly state that their statements, that of the network do not reflect their own, and that there's not going to be any repercussions if, someone decides to dissent, as long as the way in which they dissent doesn't violate any of our other policies and standards. Our next, principle of how we operate as an organization is that, guest and audience feedback, your feedback is super valuable. We want to make sure that we are providing something of value to you, and that we can get some feedback. So we show that we're receptive, that it's not just a push and pull organization, but it's really coming from that grassroots, which is you at the end of the day. We are people trying to help organize it to get our causes done, but you fundamentally are the grassroots. We are members of the grassroots, but in this organizing position, we don't want power to, elevate our perspective away from, being connected with you all. So that is really important to us. So please, please, please give us feedback. We will listen. Doesn't mean we'll always follow you, but we will listen to you, and we will respond with why we don't decide to go in the direction that you recommend, or we will just, take it into account and kind of come halfway on your recommendations. We truly will value them. The next principle is that, the decisions of our network as a whole, whenever possible, are going to be made collectively through a democratic process. And that'll include, organizing efforts and managing what backlog items we want to focus on. Any times we need to make removals from the organization, we hope that never happens. Truly, obviously, we don't want anyone to need to get to the point where we have to think about removing them. But if we're going to do it, we're not going to just have, any individual leader just saying, nope, you're gone. We're not having this. It's going to be a collective decision. The next is, we have some content types to start, whether that be, this channel that you're currently watching on our stream, but it's also going to be some content types of like how we write, doing analysis pieces, as well as advocacy. And so if we want to introduce a new type of content, we'll be voting on that as a collective as well. And the final is that this policy document that I'm currently reading through, if we ever need to make changes of how we conduct ourselves as an organization, we're going to be making sure that we vote on those changes collectively, because this is, at the end of the day, supposed to be a collaborative, cooperative model of an organization. We don't want this to be a leaders versus the rest of the team. We want everyone to be stakeholders in this organization. The next principle is that, any form content will always relate to the subject of our mission. It may evolve in terms of the categories we touch on, but at the end of the day, everything should be looking to provide power to people like you. People across the spectrum, regardless of ideological belief, regardless of socioeconomic status, regardless of race or gender. We want to be providing power to people at the end of the day, all people. And that's what we centrally focus on in this network. So if something is not related to being able to provide power to people, we're not going to be doing it. The next is that we believe that people make mistakes in general and that we are all human and not perfect. We believe in grace, love, and forgiveness so that we can learn from our mistakes and improve in the future. I think this is a pretty simple method. We want people to not feel judged for what they believed in the past. We want to help people get to better positions. And if you basically, let's just call it demonize or cancel people who have made a mistake in the past, you prevent their ability to grow because that forces them into quite a defensive position and doubles down to protect their ego. And we don't want that to be occurring. So we believe fully in the ability to give people grace. Now, obviously, if people have repeated bad behavior, well, then they need to show repeated good behavior to make up for it. It's not like we're going to forget discretions. We're going to make people show that they've actually changed. And we're not going to just forget that they used to hold different positions. We want to show when they have changed their position, not just saying it so that they'll stop being attacked and canceled, but that they truly show an understanding of why the new position is correct. I think that's important in the growth as well. You can't just be too quick to forgive. You need to make sure that there's been a substantial change on position where you're now in agreement. The next is that we want to make sure that whenever we're producing pieces for you all, we love statistics and citations, and we don't want people to fear getting wonky on this channel. I think that is how we actually show that our opinions and analysis have some value because they're actually fact-based, they're substantive. We hope you are like us in that regard and that you like when people aren't just giving their opinions, but they're substantiating their opinions. I think a lot of the media currently is just kind of a shock jock nature. And now I'll admit on this channel, a lot of it has been interviews and commentary where we haven't had, as much citations. It's a little bit tougher to do that in the video format. But we think that when we evolve into doing more of these written pieces for you all, we're going to be able to showcase that, bevy of knowledge a lot more easily. The last is that I kind of touched on this a little bit, but the Hill of Roses will operate as a cooperative. Any of us, even those of you watching right now, can be leaders in this organization, but none of us at all are going to be bosses. We are going to help, lead certain subject areas. We're going to have committees where people are going to be leading meetings, but that doesn't mean we're going to be dictating. We're going to be setting a clear structure up front so that all people can participate and be able to add to agendas, and that we are all kind of on equal footing, even if some of us are serving in specific roles where we have ownership of. So that's really what we are trying to set up here as an organization. And obviously, there's going to be some processes to have some of these committees I've alluded to that we're going to be starting to discuss even tonight. So that's really where we're trying to go as an organization. And I hope that you all will consider joining us over time. We are really looking forward to being able to do some new interviews upcoming. So we've been doing some interviews. So far, we've done 4 since, really updating the aesthetics here, the quality of the production value. And we're looking to do more. I think we have 3 currently scheduled, but we're working on scheduling more interviews. We'll be having David Kim, I believe, on it's either May 2nd or May 4th. Then we're having Rebecca Parsons May 3rd. And then we're having Heidi Brion come on May 9th. I'm looking forward to all of those interviews. I really enjoy all those candidates. I've already had Rebecca on the program. I have a close relationship with Heidi. I've been really enjoying working with her online. And, David Kim, the only reason we didn't include him in our initial endorsement list is because he luckily won his primary already to, their jungle primary system in California has him in the general election in the fall. And I am planning on doing a separate endorsement list once we get to the general elections. And David's going to be on that list. So I am really looking forward to having that conversation with him. There's also some other candidates in California that'll also be on this list. I'll give a spoiler. Shahid Buttar is also going to be one of those candidates who I'll include on my general election endorsement list. But right now, what I'm trying to focus on is these primaries. Right now, I've been trying to focus on getting involved in a little bit more of the phone banking activities for some of these early states. I have started doing that with Michaela Wilkes. She's a candidate in Maryland. I'm going to be soon, probably either this weekend or the start of next week, doing some phone banking sessions for Heidi Brion. And I hope that you all will join me in that effort. I'm looking to publish, a schedule later this week of when I'm planning on doing my phone banking sessions so that you all can participate at the same time with me. I know Heidi has even recommended that I do a session with you all of actually doing phone banking on the channel live streamed. I'm looking through some of the details of that and making sure that all the legal standards have been met, like that, whether or not I need to make sure that each person I talk to phone banking wise consents to be recorded. There's some difficulties there that make it a little bit harder. So I might instead just do a video eventually showcasing how you phone bank rather than showing phone banking sessions in general. Because I do really want everyone here to feel enabled to be able to support her campaign as it comes down the home stretch. Because I would really love Heidi to be able to get elected. I want all these candidates to be elected, but I'll admit Heidi's a little bit my favorite right now. She's flattered us with updating her platform on democracy reform. She's highlighted our endorsement as a network so far, and so we really value that. And I've just always enjoyed being able to communicate and work with Heidi online. So I really hope she can pull through. With that being said, let's see. I see some topics here. We got Edith has a lot of questions here for me. Let's see if I can answer some of these. Women on the issue. Could I talk about the economic impacts of COVID-19 and especially how it impacts men? We're losing $1 compared to 78 cents that women are losing right now. A serious note, my dude, take the money if you can. Yeah, I mean, Edith, I'll tell you this. Can you be a leader? Yes. Yes, you can. I think that some of these are, interesting commentary that I don't fully agree with. But, I think we can still be able to find ways where we can work together on certain issues. So, Edith, I fully invite you if you'd like. You can come and be able to have a conversation with me, and we can find a place for you within this organization. I do think one of the videos I'm going to be doing in the near future is a video talking about the economic impacts of COVID-19 and some of the bailout packages that we should be considering. So I do look forward to having that conversation on this as well. But that being said, I think that's all for today. I hope you'll consider joining us at the Hill of Roses. You can either be part of our audience, as some of you are already doing. We're here every day, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Or you can come and take the next step forward and join our organization. Go to thehillofroses.com and sign up to be a contributor. I hope you'll all join us, and I look forward to being able to talk with you all tomorrow on that subject, finally, of UBI and the progress that's being made on that subject area, as well as, aliens. Aliens are kind of cool. Obviously, it's not actually aliens. We didn't get to see any green men or other species, but we got some UFOs that have been confirmed by the Pentagon, and I think that'll be a very interesting conversation to be had. So I look forward to having that chat with you all tomorrow, and I look forward to having you join us and our organization going forward. This is going to be a really impactful journey together, and we need your support, both as an audience, both as contributors, and really just as advocates in general, because we're going to be promoting a lot of causes that are going to be forcing us to work with other organizations too to promote our causes. And so we hope you get active in those as well. It's not just getting involved in the Hill of Roses. We need to make sure that we're involved in our local communities and other national advocacy groups. So thank you all for those that tuned in. This was kind of impromptu, but I just wanted to make sure that we had a brief conversation on this. And yes, David, the UFOs are going to be the one that give us UBI. We're going to have a tax on interstellar travel. If you want to be coming in this nebula, you better be paying out. Like this is a simple fact. So yes, we're gonna have the UFOs give us a UBI. But thank you all again for tuning in. I hope you'll come tomorrow where I talk about how those UFOs are going to give us the UBI. But Rosebuds, I hope you stay safe out there. We're still going through this crazy era. I'm still at the parents' home because of this. And I look forward to finally being able to return to a little bit of normalcy. I've heard some good news, and I'll talk about that later, about how, there's some progress being made on vaccine development. So we might only be trapped in this kind of steady state until like June, July, kind of optimistically, but July is, I think, the target range for when we can feel like we're coming back to a better world here. Edith, if you don't want me to read your comments, just don't leave them here. I love to comment on what the audience is saying here. But Rosebuds, I hope you all stay safe out there. I hope you enjoyed the vision of what we're trying to work for here at the Hill of Roses. I hope you'll join us as well by going to thehillofroses.com. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you all tomorrow.